And then, of course, I had a cabin, I think it was back in cabin 7, a couple years later. Buses fill up with all the youngsters, and this one bus, they're getting off, and I look, and there's one kid standing right in the bus, and the other kids are yelling, and he turns around and he says, "Shut up." He stood like this, and he had a towel wrapped around his neck. He had his bathing suit on already. And he said, "My name is Superman." And then he jumped off the step of the bus and yelled, "Shazaamm!" Well, Superman ended up in my cabin. So we get all the kids in cabin 7, and we have those double bunk beds and real thin mattresses, okay? So we could afford in those days. So anyway, we had cards that had to be filled out, and so a name and address, and it was always a line for were you baptized, when were you baptized, what school you go to. And then I looked at the next question, it just said, man, I can't even read this, got it up close to me, N-U-Reese's. I have no idea what that means. I said, I'll just skip it. And I'm filling out the cards and filling. I said, maybe that N-U-Reese's is important. So I go to the counselor in the next cabin. I said, what's this N-U-Reese's about? He said, man, that's the most important thing to find out. And I said, what is it? And he said, it means, does this youngster wet the bed? He said, you gotta ask him that. He said, yeah, take a look at the mattresses. They're thin. If he wets the bed, he's got an upper bunk. That guy down below is going to get wet. So I said, oh boy, I really have to. So I go back in and I start calling them one by one. And I said, he said, be very discreet. So I'd get him off to the side and I'd whisper almost, did you wet the bed? And when you ask that question, everybody would just stop. There used to be a commercial about E.F. Hutton. When E.F. Hutton, it was an insurance company or something. When E.F. Hutton speaks, everyone stops. Well, when you ask a kid, do you want the bed? Everybody stops. And if he says no, then they go back to what they're doing, yelling and screaming. If he says yes, they all look at him. If he said, I said, okay, choose your bunk. If he chooses a top bunk, everybody walks over and says, get off. You have a bottom bunk. Okay, so nobody get wet. Well, I did everybody, I got to Superman. I said, Superman, I didn't ask you a question. I said, did you wet the bed? Superman, everybody stops to listen. Superman says in the loudest voice he can get, yeah, I wet the bed every night. Yeah. He looked around and he said, and I'm taking that bunk up there. Anybody gonna challenge me? And of course, nobody said anything. And he took the top bunk. Well, so what do you do with guys who have a problem? Well, you just try to treat it, without any fanfare or anything else. So never get upset that this happens. It's just something that happens. So every night, after all the kids were asleep, we went over for Cocoa Go. When we got back, you always got your flashlight and you checked to see if all the youngsters were there. And then you woke up very gently everybody who had to go to the city hall to pay their taxes. Okay? So I'd wake them up and quiet. Gonna go to city hall. Yeah, I gotta go. Next one, next. Get to Superman. He'd yell at the top of his lungs, Shazaamm! And he'd jump off that top bunk. He said, we're all going to city hall. He'd wake up everybody in the camp. And that happened every single night. And he, by the way, he never took that towel off from his neck. I mean, it was filthy. But boy, don't you touch that. That was his special cape. Anyway, the last night of camp, I go over to the Go and I come back and it's raining and storming. And I said, Dick, I'm not taking them to City Hall today. They walk way over there to the other end of the camp. So I just jumped in my bunk, which was right by the door. So I don't know how long afterwards it was, but I heard, Shazaamm! And I knew who it was. Bam! Superman hits the floor. He runs over. He starts shaking me. Hammer, you forgot to take us to City Hall. I said, Superman, look outside. It's storming, He said, well, what am I going to do? So I said, I got an idea. See that rock out there? That big one? I said, bring it over here. And we'll open the door, put the rock against it. I said, I'm going to shine my flashlight out there in the field. Now you go out there, and wherever that light's shining, and you do your business right there, okay? And he said, oh, that's good, Hammer. So he runs out. Of course, I'm tired, so I'm still laying in the bed, and I must have been falling asleep, because the next thing I remember was it tinkle, tinkle, tinkle right by the bed. I said, Superman, what are you doing? You told me, hit the spot. I'm hitting the spot. So it was stories like that each one of us had and still have to today with the campers. Oh, the face is different, the story's different, but it's a learning experience for each of us that stays with us all of our lives. So that was a long answer to what seemed like a simple question.
That's a great answer.